British Columbia, I believe. And also, thank you so much, Chantal. We have been doing these Light on the Horizon webinars the last Friday of every month. And the idea was to bring a three principles perspective into the climate crisis so that people could sort of find their way. And for a lot of us who've been looking at the climate science, the feeling of being in a global pandemic had actually started well before this pandemic burst onto the scene. And so some of us are kind of familiar with this feeling of things are not going well and lives are threatened and that kind of thing. And yet what the principles offer to us, and I just actually, one of my other favorite teachers besides Sydney Banks is Gangaji. And I watched a webinar of hers yesterday, and she just reminded me that, you know, how can I put this? One of her questions is, what is always here? What is always here? And the other thing she says a lot is, just stop. And in the stopping and the asking of what is always here, you know, we can find that peace is still here. You know, coming from us, within us. So we can talk more about all of those things. And, you know, I think that sort of quote unquote eternal or central truth of what we are beneath the thoughts, beneath the thinking, beneath the conditioning, beneath the fear, beneath the thoughts of even activist thoughts, which are, I think, good thoughts. You know, underneath all of that, the space of really non-attachment. One of the questions that Gangaji shared was, what do you want and where have you been looking for that? And I thought that was very profound, because one of the answers that I had personally was, what do I want? I want for, I mean, this is sort of thinking pre-coronavirus, I want for the climate crisis to be over. But actually my first response was peace. What do I want? Peace. Where am I looking for that? In the climate crisis being over. And then that made me think about peace before the climate crisis is over and peace before coronavirus is over. Because what I want is peace. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that insight I had yesterday before I went for my hike in the woods, which is really a good thing to do. And Michelle knows all about that. So how about if we just introduce ourselves, and if you don't have to do a big check-in on your emotions unless you feel you want to. So just check in, and there, I imagine there are big emotions, you know, or there may be questions, or there may be, yes, Michael, no limit. Welcome to Amy's world. I may cut you off if you're going on, actually, but there is no limit. So feel free, but also know that we have how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 15 people on the line. So I may interrupt you if you're going on, but really if you could just sort of boil it down to the essence of, what is the essence of your check-in? How about that? What is the essence of your check-in? I'm in fear, or I'm in, but and maybe just a little bit about where you are and who you are, just so we get to know each other, because we might see you again. So Michelle, do you want to get started? And actually, if you want to pass, that's fine too.
I can start. So my name is Michelle Merrill. I have an organization called Nova Sutras that is largely online. And then we've been just starting as just in the weeks before this thing hit, we were really starting to ramp up doing things live and in person here in the Santa Cruz area. And And so I was, let's start having weekly meetings, and suddenly I'm just like, okay, let's go back to fully online. And that's actually ramped up as well. I've just organized and posted that we're going to be hosting just a daily open conversation like this, because one of the things that keeps coming to me from, and I've been helping other groups that I'm connected with connect via Zoom. And the thing that keeps coming up is, we've got to really check our language and think about not reinforcing this idea of social distancing. We are physically distancing from one another. We need to be socially as close or even closer to get through something like this. And so really talking about how do we build ever stronger social connection, even in times where we have to stay physically separated. So that's a big piece of what I'm doing. And then, in terms of personally, like where I'm at, I sort of alternate between, I'm just like crazy busy trying to organize all of this online stuff. And then I'm sometimes like really happy that now that I'm working from home alone, and I have plenty of experience working from home alone, but I'm not alone doing that, is like, oh, welcome to my world. And I'm less alone because my husband is here, which is a little cramped because we have a tiny little studio, and we now have a sheet so that my office is separate from the bedroom, which has become his office, which is the bed that's behind that sheet. So he's on his headphones doing his thing, and I'm here doing this. And so I'm less alone than I'm used to being, which is sort of nice. And then some of these conversations, I had a woman on my Equinox call who is a health worker in Africa, and she was talking about, this is hitting places like, she works in Liberia. She said she has friends who work in Sierra Leone, and she says Sierra Leone, the whole country up until last week had one ventilator, millions of people. How do you make decisions? And it just is, that's what we're talking about. And it, that, and a lot of the people that I've been organizing are in these vulnerable categories. And I worry all the time. That's really present for me. So.
Thank you. And what I'm going to actually add in the check-ins, if you don't mind, is there something you would like help with? Not physical help, but something happening in your mind now that you would like help with, so we can address that. And anyone else?
I can go. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Pramila.
Nice to be here. It's, to me, I feel that it's a big time wake-up call for all of us. The reason why I'm here, thanks to Linda. She emailed me that you were having this webinar. Even this morning, I just feel that I've been focusing on how I could help others, having the knowledge that I have. And I kind of woke up saying, wait a minute, before you can help others, help yourself. By waking up to, by connecting to the knowledge that I already have and seeing it in my own life and seeing it in myself, in my day-to-day routine. Because the purpose that came to mind this morning was that we are all trying I don't know about that, I'll try, but the purpose is to understand what our cravings are and understand what our aversions are, and to be not just mindful, but to be equanimous in that, to be stable in that. And especially in this time where with the COVID, if we can be stress-free, if we can be stable, it's a ripple effect on everybody else. And I've put it out on some of the sites that I'm doing free coaching for anyone who may just want to chat. And a lot of people are reaching out. And so I'm just using my time to reflect on myself, deepen that, and then share. And that's where I am. So I'm here to just find more depth. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that offering. Oh, so Rob, anyone else? I'm excited to see Rob and Rebecca and Linda, who I haven't seen in a long time. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Nyaroka raised her hand. Go ahead and pronounce your name for us and tell us where you're from.
Oh, hold on a second.
We could hear you just then.
Hello, my name is Nyakua, and I live in Burlington, Vermont. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi. Yes. So I live in Burlington, Vermont, and I work as a social worker. Hi. I work as a social worker in a couple of alternative high schools in Burlington, and yeah, I guess the schools are closed here until the end of the year, for the whole school year. And so my work, along with, seems like everyone else who can, my work has gone online, and also I'm dropping off meals for clients' families. And yeah, so I find it interesting that a lot of the kids that I work with, the teenagers that I work with, most of their social lives are online, but none of them want to communicate with me online. So anyway, I've been communicating with their parents and school teams and stuff. But yeah, I think I've been going in and out of feeling quite calm and feeling very anxious. And I just wanted to kind of reach out and be part of as many communities as I can, and try and be part of the solution in my own little way. And yeah, one of the things that I've been learning pretty deeply in the last couple of years regarding is really where to look, where to look and where not to look. And I just like to learn that more and more deeply. Yeah, I have a 15-year-old son. He's home for the rest of the year, and we're just trying to figure out routines for the whole family. Because it's interesting. It's when things outside of you create your routines and your structure, and they're taken away, it's like, whoa. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. Just nice to be here and see everyone and get a chance to connect.
Thank you, Nyakua. Are you from the principles world? Did you hear about this from the principles world or a different world?
Yeah. I've known about the principles for like, I guess, 15 years or so.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And you said where to look and not to look. And I just had one question, which is for what?
Peanut butter and jelly? No, I'm just kidding. Where to look?
None.
No, where to look for answers, for peace, for where to look for solutions. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Not everyone has to go, but there's okay, go ahead, a phone caller.
Hi, it's Sharon Sterling.
Hi, Sharon.
And hi, I couldn't get internet. I know the internet there's a lot of activity now, so I know that can happen. So anyway, I'm sorry I can't actually see who I'm speaking to, but I did want to, I recognize Nyakua. I love your name, it's just so beautiful, but I felt like maybe I'd heard it before. Did we meet? Like, were you at a principals event with Dickin in Vermont or anything?
Okay, wait, hang on. She's
Oh,
muted.
she's
But you know,
muted.
Shannon,
Anyway,
let's go ahead because we want to get through the check-ins. So
yeah,
maybe
that's
we can
okay.
do that. Oh no, you
Yeah,
can't.
it's just tough because I can't see people. But anyway, I don't know if I've met you. Hello again. And I don't know who else I know on the call, but I love Amy, and I'm so glad I could be here. I'm walking in the woods, thank God. But believe it or not, I have my phone, not right now because I'm talking, but in a long sock hanging away from my body. I was so desperate to get away from it. I think that, you know, just in my own little personal world, not the grand world, but in my own personal world, stopping was such actually a gift to my energy. And a couple weeks ago, I was singing and playing guitar and dancing and resting and writing, and it was like, wow, you know, the world my world had to stop really dramatically for me to do that. I mean, I was already sort of in that direction, and then I got inspired, which tends to happen when I quiet down, and I started, you know, I wanted to be of service, so I started things, and then I volunteered for like 3 different groups for free coaching, and then I started a group that got really busy, and I've been on a computer for a week now, and I'm just feeling like I managed to make myself so busy again, and there's so much beautiful stuff online. And I'm tempted by all of it. You know, I want to do tango, and I want to do yoga, and I want to do my coaching and the groups, but I feel like a rather quiet phone addiction has turned into a one over this week. And so here I am on the phone saying I'm addicted to my phone. And I need help with that. But I guess that's, you know, I loved the question you asked, Amy, about what are we looking for and where are we looking? And it just quiets me down. So I guess I'm not, in terms of what's happening in the world, I feel like I'm very aware, but I don't feel like my mind is particularly stressed by it, but I think that's all going into just any way that I can be helpful. But I also just need to kind of pay attention to staying well myself. I haven't been well for very long. As Amy knows, I was really struggling until very recently, and I've just settled into a really beautiful place. So I just don't want to get back into getting carried away. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at. And I'm grateful for this call. And I don't know that I, you know, need that addressed directly, but I'm just expressing where I'm at. Thank you. Thanks for having the call. And whoever's on the call, I'm saying hi to you.
Thank you so much. Linda Ramus is on the call. Chantal's on the call. Shannon Cooper's on the call. Rebecca Wilson's on the call from the Wisdom School with you. Those are the people that you would know, and possibly others. And I just want to share.
Oh, my heart is swelling. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you.
And I just want to share that with the checking in, we normally, I don't know how many people we normally have. We've had many different sizes. And if I knew how to do groups, smaller groups, I might have figured that out first. But one of the reasons for checking in is, you know, we might go long this time because we're checking in. Meaning we're, you know, we're just hearing ourselves reflected, I think, in human experience. And that can be very valuable, very educational, right? Just hearing ourselves reflected in each other's stories. So I checked in Chantal about the check-in, and we're thinking, let's just keep going. And if you can make it short, great. And we can get to some of the questions. And if you want to boil it down to, this is what I would like some help with right now, please do share that. So who else would like to share?
This is Beth. Can you hear me?
Yes. Which Beth is this?
Beth Phelps from San Francisco.
Hi, Beth. Oh my gosh.
Hi, Linda. Linda sent me the link. I knew how to get on here, so thank you very much. And several people mentioned peace. That's what I'm always looking for. You ask, what am I looking for? And I realize that's what, no matter what I think I want outside of me, peace is what I'm looking for. And also, what is always there, peace is always there. I just get wrapped up in my thinking, and I lose my consciousness of that peace. So I'm actually doing really well. I have lots, I live in a dense part of San Francisco, and there's so many volunteers. I'm a senior, and they're suggesting that I stay home. So I have people coming in, bringing me groceries, and coming, helping get my, do stuff at the house that I need to do. So I'm feeling really grateful, and that's very helpful in helping me find peace. So, and I'm very glad to be able to be connected to people through these kinds of Zoom and teleconferences and things. So thank you for being here. It's great to see you, and I look forward to the conversation.
Quick question, Beth, how's Anne?
Anne is doing great. She said she's actually glad that she can stay home and not feel bad that she's not going out doing things. But yeah, she's doing great.
Good to hear from you.
Yes, great to see both of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. It's so great to hear from you. We have Paul, David, Rob, Rebecca, Michael, and Batya.
And since you left me out, I guess it's my turn to talk. We get a male voice mixed in there too. Delightful to be here. I live near Santa Cruz also, and I'm connected with Amy and Michael and Michelle and Batya through the Extinction Rebellion group here, and really fascinated by the times that we're in and feeling incredibly present and joyous in this moment. I think it's that very realization of just how present I can be in this moment, and the deeper feeling that's coming with it is a much more broad sense of identity with so much more than my body and so much more than the human condition, and I'm kind of getting cosmic on myself a little bit, which feels really good. There feels like a major inner journey, if you will, that is taking me to infinity and back. And that feels really great. And there's a sense of connection to the infinite present that lives as me. And also a major thing that shifted is this idea of the future is just so delightfully unknown that it's gone from my monkey mind. And so I feel like with the future gone and the past not holding a lot for me, that it's keeping me really present. And so happy to be here to explore this fascinating time with all of you. And I'm in.
Oh, Peter. Peter is across the board doing the best of anyone I have heard from in the midst of coronavirus. Like, really, he's thriving. So I just really appreciate the example of where one can be, and the idea of the future I think is really fascinating too, because for a lot of us in climate work, the future's been looking obscure and now even more so. And what does that mean to be able to take it into just being more and more deeply present is, I think, the opportunity for us. So Rob raised his hand. Rob!
Hey there. Hi. Hello, everyone. That's so cool that you saw that, because, you know, I've been using Zoom for a long time, and there's all kinds of features in Zoom that I think gradually people are learning. One of them is just to keep the chat bar open. You can send little quick messages to other people privately. You can raise your hand. There's just all kinds of things. And as the administrator, that's so cool that you saw that. You know,
Hey, Rob, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
Can you put the camera, because right now we're seeing, like, can
I'm
we
sorry.
see you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, you're talking.
Here I am talking about being a Zoom master, and I'm not doing it.
Your ear was very pretty, though. It's a beautiful left ear.
I have my little computer with the camera, but my bigger monitors to the side. So that's why I'm looking to the side. Anyway, I've been doing Rudy's course, Rudy and Jules' course, the facilitator training, which has been really great. And this has been an amazing time. I kind of feel like we're in a collective human vision quest, which is times of solitude and boredom. And when I've done vision quests, it's been all about being by yourself, being bored, and going inside. And I find this is a really amazing time. There's panic and fear that goes on, but most of the time I feel really great and I feel hopeful. I like the time alone, and I like being confronted with my own sort of demons. And I feel like there's opportunity. There's clearly opportunity here. And I'm grateful for these kinds of meetings, but I'm grateful also for the solitude, and I'm grateful for one of the things I'm really grateful for, and I don't know, I haven't heard hardly anybody talk about this, but how incredibly clear the air is. So in the Bay Area, we have this constant, it's not like really bad smog, but it's a sort of a slight grayness. And the other day we had some rain, and I looked out the window and there was this beautiful, beautiful double rainbow on over the Berkeley Hills. I haven't seen even a rainbow for years, let alone a double rainbow. So there's this way where obviously climate change is a really, really big, big challenge for humans, but also I'm amazed at how incredibly resilient the planet can be. So now that with just less people driving, less people going to work, the air is clear. I went to the ocean. I don't know what's going on in Santa Cruz, but the ocean is amazingly clear, even around the shore. And just the clarity and the brilliance of the sunshine and the sweetness of the air. It's like what I remember when I was a kid, 50 years ago. And I'm just really, really grateful that in the midst of all this, I can look outside. It seems like there's a lot more birds around. And I feel like I'm connected to something inside of me that can step back. One last thing, I'll finish, because I know you know, Amy, I have a tendency to rattle on. But I heard a story and it's a short story, about how when the Vietnamese refugees were going into their rafts and boats and trying to get away and get rescued and get out of Vietnam, that they were at such a mercy of environment and conditions. And when they had, they would have pirates that would board them. They would get sick. They didn't have any food or water. That if just one person on the boat was able to keep calm, that calm would spread through the whole boat, and people were able to maintain not slipping into chaos and panic. And so the admonition of that is, each one of us as a person that can connect with our truer, never changing self inside, that ripples out. And that's what we're doing here. And I think that's a big piece of what we have to do. Like you were just talking about, I think it was Peter, the people who can maintain calm and yet still be reasonable and rational, that energy ripples out in the world and ripples out to your local and smaller communities. And I just think by supporting each other and finding that place in ourselves, that we can help others that way. So anyway, that's enough. That's where I am. Thank you.
So true. Thank you, Robert. So good to see you. And
yeah, it's good to see you.
Again, in the check-ins, we are getting close. It would be nice to have some time to talk about the principles too, and connect them to some of what people are saying in this kind of like intake. So maybe if you have something that people are sharing their insights, really, people are doing pretty well, but other people may not be doing so well. I just want to acknowledge the complete sort of like, the picture on the outside of us is looking like collapse, and I just want to acknowledge that. Everybody didn't send people into a tailspin of thought, but it's okay to also feel all kinds of stuff at this time. So just going to share that. And there's Vera. So anyone else want to check in? And you don't have to check in. Michael.
Yeah,
Katya.
hi everybody. It's good to meet all of you who I don't know. I know Amy from here in Santa Cruz and Extinction Rebellion. So, yeah, I'm finding social distancing to be pretty challenging. Although I really heard a great phrase somebody the other day said, we shouldn't talk about social distancing, we should talk about distance socializing. Put the emphasis on staying connected. And Bacha, my partner here, suggested a number of days ago that we make sure to call one friend, especially people that maybe we haven't been in contact with, every day, at least one friend a day, and we've been doing some of that, and so that's been a good part of this. People have a little more time. Some people do anyway, and people have been really happy to connect, and I love that.
Mike, I'm just going to interrupt you because there's a sound. Is everybody muted? Beth, you have 2 lines open, so you might mute them. Thank you. I just didn't want to be distracted. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I wanted to say that as great as connection is, I'm feeling overwhelmed with all the Zoom calls and all the possibilities for meeting and connecting. And I want to acknowledge and sort of flag that it's different than.
And she's just learning about the principles, and I'm thinking, the miracle, there it happens again. The miracle of sharing this understanding. So I'm thinking that, like somebody said, it's our state of mind that impacts the whole. It's the awakening of consciousness, little consciousness all over the place, just kind of light bulbs coming in all over the place. That's really our journey and our contribution. And for those of us who have shared this and consider ourselves facilitators, trainers, coaches, whatever, when we share this with others and we see their little, light of consciousness come on, we say, oh, it's spreading. And so for me, what are we looking for and where are we looking? We're all looking for the same thing and we're all looking in the same direction. And that is sort of to understand the truth of who we are and what this is all about. And the principles, to me, have been the purest, simplest guidance to getting there, to moving along that path. So right now I'm feeling a little bit of my routines have been broken up, like other people said, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh, that's kind of how I feel when I feel a little disconnected and a little off, even though I've been trying to kind of maintain some of my routines. But I'm relatively, so far, unaffected. I'm in retirement, so I don't have to worry about losing my job or making ends meet. And so far, my family has been in good health, and I've been in good health, and all the friends, the people I know have managed to remain unscathed. But again, I'm seeing this like, wait a minute, if this virus is created by the same source that created me, I can't think of myself at war with this virus. To be that would be to be at war with myself. It's more to understand what is, how does this virus play out in this world that I'm in? And so the same thing goes with activism. I don't want to be at war because I don't want to be in that state of mind when thinking about global climate change or even the political scene here, which I can get pretty revved up about, even though I was politically active in some campaigns, and I could kind of, but I just have to, okay, wait a minute. It's that my biggest contribution ultimately is my understanding, my level of consciousness. And so it's just always a matter of stepping back, and when become unsettled and fearful of the unknown, again, thank God for understanding that, for this understanding, it's like, oh, okay, I'm okay. And so, I share that with a couple of classes that I was doing weekly. Now one I do via Zoom, and the other one we had to cancel altogether because that was with people with probation and who were, so we can't get together. But I'm just, trying to be okay with the unknown and doing a check-in when all of a sudden I see my state of mind rev up. And yeah.
Thank you, Linda. For those of you who don't know this, Linda was my boss for like 6 years at Santa Clara County Drug and Alcohol Services, where this is all we did was teach the principles everywhere.
I was no one's boss. You guys were doing everything on your own, which made my job super simple.
Okay, so anyone else want to check in? We are getting to the top of the hour, so I just want to make sure we have some time to maybe talk about the principles a little more, although people are talking about them. Anyone else like to go? David.
I'll just say really quickly, I went to the grocery store for the first time in 2 weeks last night. And it was reassuring in a way because it's a big store and they're being super careful. The staff is fairly cheerful given the circumstances they have to work in. I said to one lady, thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. She said, I'm glad to have the job. But there was this weird feeling. I mean, I had my eyes all the time scanning 6 feet away, 6 feet away. And I went by the potatoes instead of by the onions so I could avoid this old guy who was coming at me, you know. So when I left, what I was thinking is, how long does that last, and how permanent is all of that? There are plexiglass sheets now between the cashiers and the people, and it's really reassuring because if they sneeze or I sneeze, there's a barrier, and we're not going to hurt each other inadvertently. So that's a great thing. But it changes the way, you know, a person is in public and with other people, and you just wonder, okay, this is good. Are we going to get used to this? And is that a bad thing? Does it matter? But I came home with a week and a half supply of food, which is also reassuring because now I can just hang out at home. That's my check-in.
Thank you, David. Where are you?
Sorry, I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Oh.
So, and okay, now that you asked me that, I'm grateful for our public health district, which has been great on both organizing the hospitals and such, and public messaging. So when you do have leadership, it matters. And we may be deflecting our curve. There was a report published yesterday saying, we will have enough beds, knock wood, we will have enough beds because everyone has been locked down effectively for a week and a half and then officially for about 4 days. So
okay,
with leadership, things can change.
Yeah, that's good. That's good news. Okay, anyone else want to check in? We're still doing check-ins. We're sort of doing rather long check-ins because we're all, I think, needing to check in. So anyone else? Rebecca, do you want to say anything?
Sure. I'm Rebecca. I live in Oakland and I'm in my room right now, and I got the email from Linda this morning to join the call. So thank you, Linda. I guess everything has been shifting so much lately, and I have lots of different waves of emotions. But it's so nice to be with Amy because for some reason it's so comforting to see you in the room that I remember. I used to work for Amy as her mother's helper, so I know her house, and your whole vibe is just brings me peace. So even though I know you've been so involved prior to coronavirus with things that can be really stressful, you maintain like this sense of peace for me. So thank you for that. And it's good to see lots of people I don't know, and also people, I was involved in Amy's Wisdom School, which was the 3 principles thing. So that's kind of why I'm here. And it's helpful to be reminded of the little simple truths that I often forget, especially amidst anxiety and stuff like that. So feeling grateful to be with you guys and hear and meet new people. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? And I'm just going to ask, I know it may not be fair, but if you could keep it short, that would be great. Anyone else? We have people who joined on a little bit late. At least maybe just say your name and where you are, and if there's any help you need with stuff. Yes, Evelyn.
My name is Evelyn. I'm Belgian, but I live in England at the moment, in the south of England. And where I'm at right now is I was just overwhelmed half an hour earlier with an immense grief of how people in India and in Africa are going to deal with this situation. I noticed that we have this app that the neighbors use. And I live in a small town called Hastings, and it's all about Hastings unite and Hastings together. And then that's really nice. And there is this feeling in me of like you're all looking so much to like your own circle. And yeah, I feel like I'm immensely desperate about people feeling connected to a wider circle than just their own neighborhood and family. think about what we need to do with people in Africa. Because if we don't help the underdeveloped countries now, the virus isn't going to go away anyway. We're all connected. So that's really present for me at the moment. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did. I'm Paul. I'm Norwegian, but I live in Denmark. And the last 2 weeks, maybe, me and my girlfriend have been sick. We're hoping that it's a coronavirus, so we're done with it. So we haven't been outside for a long time, but it's really nice to be just stay at home and hang out with her and take it really slowly and read a lot of books and get inspired about I think it was Rob who talked about the resiliency of nature, and it's really beautiful to read about that online. And there's so many tragedies in this corona virus times that's really heartbreaking to read about, but just it kind of gives me a little bit of hope with what I perceive as the bigger problems we're facing. So that's a good thing. Basically, I'm just here to, someone said, to get reminded about the simple truths. That's what I'm here for. There's one thing that is, just keeps popping up for me these weeks. It's like I've been reading the book of Charles Eisenstein, this Climate, a New Story, and I absolutely love it. And it's just, yeah. Maybe we can get that guy on here sometime. That would just be really great. But anyway, it is this thing I was watering the plants here one day, and I'm just realizing that I just want to be of service to life, like with a capital L. And that's kind of in this really quiet, restful, for me, time. That is something new that is popping up. It's not, I don't want to make a big me anymore. I want to be of service to life. And yeah, if someone has something to share about that, I would be happy to. I would really appreciate hearing about it.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Shannon?
Hi, I can quickly check in.
Yeah.
I'm calling from British Columbia, Canada. So I love what Paul just said, because I love what everybody just said. But I really love what Paul just said, because I have been in this weird place where on one hand, I'm seeing this as a huge opportunity to slow down and be in service of life and rest and reflect and recover. And I'm seeing the resilience of nature, and I'm seeing, I mean, I'm really fortunate to be in Canada. We have amazing things that authorities and the government are doing here. It is honestly shocking to me how well they are handling this and how much support they're giving to absolutely everyone. So it has been kind of really eye-opening in the best way for me. It makes me so grateful. But I love what Paul said, because despite knowing all of these things, that God, this is such an opportunity. I have been, if I'm honest, in a place of, I have to do so much. I have to connect with so many people. I've been on webinars every day this week. I've been on, answering a ton of emails and Facebook. I've been connecting. And I just feel so fucking tired of it. And I'm just done. And I'm just like, my cup, I can't fill anyone's cup and be of service to anything right now, because I'm feeling so just overwhelmed by the deluge of stuff that I'm supposed to be doing in this time to help the world. And it was really interesting to me to realize last night that I can't get to helping the world if my cup is empty. So what Paul said really just touched me, because I really recognize that there's no way I can be of service to life if I'm not first of service to myself and what I need. So I'm really, I'm grateful for what everyone shared. And it's a big wake up call for me to really starting literally after this call, to tune inwards and to take good care so that I am able to serve in those powerful ways. Because as much as I've wanted to, I've just been so technologically overstimulated that I am the opposite of being a service to life, because I'm going to have a mental breakdown if I keep hopping on Zoom calls every day. So thank you guys for this, and thank you for the space of community. And yeah, I just love being with you guys. So I knew that, just despite my better knowing that, this is probably going to be the last call that I hop on for a while. I'm grateful it's with you guys because I love this community. So lots of love from BC. Take care.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say we feel so honored that you've joined us on a Zoom call. Anyone else? We have Lanaki, I think, and Vera, who haven't checked in, and you don't need to, but I'm just going to ask people to try to keep it short so we can bring the principles in a little bit for those, especially who are new.
Yeah, I can share
Well,
briefly.
oh, sorry.
Is it going? Can you hear me?
I think we heard
Yeah,
from
go.
Lanaka and Vera, but Vera,
Oh, okay.
you go and then Lanaka will go. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Just briefly, I'm in Scotland. Really nice to check back in with everybody. Personally, I feel very much bouncing between like a muddle of whatever, not really feeling able to feel at the moment with and then I feel also quite excited that this little virus has managed to do what Greta Thunberg has so desperately trying to do for, to wake us up, and the efficiency with which the machinery is stopped at the moment is quite fascinating. So that too lives in me. And just now I've been out in the garden, and life was just beautiful and normal. And I think for me, the more I do that, the more in touch I am with where I serve, both me and what's present right now, whoever is present with me there. That's the briefest I can do. Over.
Thank you. It's so good to see you again. Lanaka, if that's right.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Lonneke, and I'm from the Netherlands. And I just got inspired by your book. A few weeks ago, I looked something about children, and I can't find a lot about children, but I did find your book, and that's why I'm here. So I really recognize the situation about the corona. I just heard a few minutes, and that's also funny because I was really how do you call it? I was really I don't know how you say it in English, but it's too bad that I just came in a few minutes ago and not an hour ago. But in these few minutes, I really feel the connection because all of you are on different places all around the world, and we're just dealing with the same kind of stuff. Your thoughts about obviously corona, or your stuff about daily stuff. So yeah, that's really nice. In a few minutes, you feel connection with other people all around the world.
Yeah. Thank you. Lanaka, I'm assuming that's the spark inside, yeah? Yeah, okay. Well, super cool. I think that's it. I think so. Did we miss anybody? No, I think we're good. And, I'm just going to share a few thoughts that I've had as you guys have been speaking. And if there's any questions or topics you want to put in the chat box, that's fine too. but I'm looking at, I took some notes as people were speaking, and I want to invite Chantal also to chime in on any of this as we're going along. And one of the things that occurred to me is just that some people are feeling challenged with the new situation. And I have felt challenged with the new situation. You know, we're a family of 4, and we're very lucky to have enough space to all be in a different room. But even then, sometimes it feels like we're on top of each other. And then the next morning I wake up and I think, oh, it's the same thing. It's like Groundhog Day. We're going to do this all over again, and it feels very much the same. And what's I think the promise of the principles here in this particular situation is, you know, in Groundhog Day, that movie, the situation was actually the same every single day, down to, you know, the people that stepped up on the curb and the song on the radio. And yet his thinking changed. And that changed everything. You know, as he had this opportunity to change his thinking. So for me, what that means is that when I start to feel a little oppressed, or I start to feel anxious, I know that it's not the situation of being on lockdown here isn't what's creating that. What's creating that is my thoughts about that. And that's a beautiful challenge and opportunity to start to, it's not even change your thinking, right? It's to understand that thinking is just thinking. And so experience can change when we are just open to having our thinking change. So for example, I noticed that with my husband, we have certain dynamics that have actually become very sort of full blown, given the fact that we're together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week now, pretty much. And yet, even in the midst of those dynamics, I'm like, well, will this change? Because now it's arising, and it's showing me my thinking and conditioning in ways that I respond. And so just that intention of how can I, not even how can I, but I know that this could change. I know that this could change. And inviting it to change has been really, really valuable. And I notice that it does change because of that. There were also some comments about worry and being in service. And I noticed that too, because I get called upon to be in service. Like I was on the committee for homelessness in our city, and I'm getting called upon by activists to come help with the mental health for people on the streets. And I immediately, the activist person in me wanted to run down there, you know, with a mask on and start talking to people who are on the streets. And then I had this thought about my children and my family. And then I was in conflict, you know, like, should I run down to be with these people who need help right now, or should I be concerned about bringing the virus back possibly to my family and whatever that could do? And since I was confused, I love this. When we're in confusion, that's great, because we don't know. We don't know what to do. We want to be in service to life, but we're confused and we don't know. What should we be doing? There are too many Zoom calls. What should we be doing? There's too much going on technologically. What should we be doing? And not having discovered the answer yet is such a potent place to be, to recognize that we don't know the answer yet. So we don't have to decide. We don't have to decide. We can be in the unknown. We can be confused. And there's no urgency, if that makes sense. So being in service to life, that's where we all are anyway. We all will be. We all are in service to life. And that will, someone once said, I want to discover how to be in service to life. And the answer was, I don't know where I heard this, you know, being in service to life will find you. You don't have to find out how, it will find you. And And what occurred to me actually just this morning, I think, is I realized my family comes first. My family comes first. If something happens to my family, I will not be available to help anybody. You know, and so I got very clear. And at the same time, I realized I could put out Facebook videos and people could be looking on their phones, and just even the homeless people in our town have phones, a lot of them. And they could be looking at these, you know, videos and so that occurred to me as, oh, that's what I would like to do. So, so those are just some thoughts that I have. And for those of you who are new to the principles, there's this thing that we call wisdom, which other people may have different words for, which is our capacity to experience thinking that is in service to life. It's in service to our life. It's in service to all life. And there's a feeling, a distinct feeling that comes with wisdom. And someone said, which way do I look? Someone said, yeah, I want to be looking in the right direction. Which way do I look? And that's the key, is that feeling of this is it. Like this morning when I said, oh, I'm not going out into the streets with a hazmat suit to talk to homeless people. I am going to do Facebook videos. And I just felt that's it. That's it. So that's the guidance that we have inside of us, our own guidance. And Chantal is saying she has something to share, and Peter had some questions. So Chantal, I'm hoping that you can help answer those.
Oh, I just wanted, that was lovely. Thanks, Amy. Yeah, and I agree. I think it finds us. I was supposed to be focusing on one thing, and then I suddenly found myself focusing on something else in order to help. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm doing this now. So that definitely found me. I just wanted to comment on Peter's comment about urgency. If we could eliminate the urgency, that would help a lot. I don't know. I think it feels to me like it's not urgency per se that's problematic, but it's where that sense of urgency is coming from. I think there's an urgency we can respond to that's healthy and helpful. You know, a sense of calling and wanting to be in service, and then there's a sense of urgency that feels scary and kind of a little toxic. You know, and I'm really, it's been helpful to be able to calibrate to the difference in me, you know, so feeling just responding to a sense of inspiration and calling to want to help and being able to keep my grounding.
Sorry, you planning on going out?
Might need to mute. And then noticing when I'm feeling really revved up and it feels like everything, you know, that sort of urgency. So I think that there's just, comes back to the knowing where to look. But in this case, for me, it's knowing when to listen and when not to listen. Like, I don't really need to listen to that, because I can tell that's just my own sort of insecurities kicking up some dust, and I don't need to attend to that. And I think that's, for me, then that sense of urgency just starts to dissolve. So I just wanted to share that. I don't know if it's helpful.
Can I react to that? I was listening to a podcast last week with Michael Neal, and he had such a beautiful metaphor. He was talking about when you're driving in a car and you are listening to the radio or to your GPS. And if you want to find the way, it's not that useful to listen to the radio. So that's in that way, I don't know exactly, but he just made the difference between just what you told, between the voice who's telling you all kinds of stuff that aren't your wisdom. And then the GPS is like your wisdom. I thought it was a beautiful metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. For me, it's really in the feeling. You know, I can feel the difference. I can feel the difference because one is a sort of a sense of urgency, but I feel settled and I feel clear, and I just listen to that and I act from that. And the other is very different. It's very fearful. It's very speedy. It's very noisy. It doesn't have that clarity and that depth of feeling. It's a shallow kind of feeling. It's very different. And I think we all have our own way of calibrating to that, but we all know the difference. I know we do. I know we know the difference. Yeah.
Anyone else have a thought or a question? Yeah, Linda.
No, I'll unmute myself. Uh, that's, I picked up on the word urgency, have to do something, should be doing something. And I think, that, again, Chantal picked up on the importance of feeling, and that's our surest indicator, our surest guide. That's our first, indicator, especially where we need to kind of pay attention to that, and that there is no there is no urgency, that we have to do something again, or that we have to connect. And it's that first thinking about just paying attention to that and waiting for whatever to surface, and then just kind of going with that. I mean, I love it, Amy. The 911 response or reflex, and realizing, wait, there's various different ways to respond, and yeah. So that's that. I think that's a key, because I realized this morning I was feeling kind of off, and I was just like, oh, I know what's going on. I thought I hadn't really been impacted, but I was starting to feel, kind of unsettled, because my routines have been, disturbed. And it's like, oh, that's all that's going on. But I picked it up first from, I had a feeling, there was something feeling off. And then the next thing was just to get curious, okay, what do I need to do here right now? And there was nothing to do. Okay, there's like some things that I've been doing. It's like, okay, there's been a real shortage for blood. And I'm a regular donor. They all want my blood. I call them the vampires. They're after me all the time. It's like, oh God, here come the vampires again. And it's like, well, does it make sense for me to go down there? I mean, is there any risk? And I thought, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to reflect on this. And I think I could trust them to be as safe as possibly can be to do that. And so, it's a simple thing, but again, just sit back and reflect, what should we do? If anything, eat, hunker down with some Netflix and popcorn. That's okay, And so that's just kind of where I'm right now, trying to be okay with this thinking about there's no need that I have to do something. Okay, what occurs to me that I can do?
Thank you, Linda. It's just so great to hear you and hear your voice, and your thoughts. And I noticed we usually budget an hour and a half. I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is that Light on the Horizon is scheduled for next month at the last Friday of the month, as per usual. And our plan is to continue. The only reason it's not continuing on Facebook is because I think I just picked a range of dates to begin with, but we will continue the last Friday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And if you have to go at 11:30, that's fine. Just say goodbye in the chat box or just wave and sign off. And if others want to stay, I have nowhere to be. So I'm happy to stay with folks for maybe an extra 15 minutes. And both Michael and Michelle had their hands up. So I want to let's go to Michael first, and then we'll go to Michelle.
I didn't mean to have my hand up.
Okay, Michelle.
Okay. Just in the conversation around urgency and the language keeps coming up of, what should we be doing? And there is a place where we can step back to and recognize this as opportunity as much as it is challenge. A lot of times in talking about the climate crisis, Paul Hawken said, is the climate crisis happening to us, or is it happening for us? And we can look at the COVID crisis as something that there are a lot of lessons we're going to learn from this. Some of them are going to be really directly applicable to the larger, slower, longer, ongoing climate crisis. But some of them are these things that are available because the COVID crisis is so urgent. So it's hard to sit with that, knowing that this is the kind of crisis where people are losing their lives, lots of people in short time spans. This is the kind of crisis where lots of people are going to really be suffering. But that's true of these larger, slower crises at an even larger scale. It's just that it happens slower. So for both of them, really trying to, every time you get wrapped up in that urgency and that panic, to really find a way for us, as everyone on this call is clearly an engaged change agent, and for us to really step back, step into ourselves and say, what are the opportunities here? What are the things that are happening for us that we can really learn from or use to make those real changes? And I think Batya was feeling that a lot. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Anyone else? I love this discussion. So half of us, maybe a third, are climate activists, and some of us are just principles people, and some of us are and it's interesting to me. I know I've had a shift recently around where I'm just feeling this tremendous need for mental health support at this time, like tremendous. I feel like it's going to be a tidal wave. And so I just have this, my wisdom is saying, okay, move back into your old role, really, of providing principles-based help for everyone, for activists, for youth, for young people, which was my world for a long time. So I can feel that shift. And the cool thing about wisdom to me, and for people who aren't as familiar with the principles, is that it's wisdom is a moving target. So when we even put together our 1-year plan or our 1-month plan, like that's, optimistic, right? That we won't, that we could know what all the circumstances will be over the course of a year or a month. Like Extinction Rebellion was planning huge activities and actions for April. We all were, for Earth Day. And yet there was a way that nothing was really making sense. Nothing was, coming together. And then this happened. And so, you just can't know. And so we talk about wisdom as always organic and always moment to moment. Just what is true for me now in this moment, and what is true for me now. And it might be that you have, if I do Facebook videos, then that's going to take some planning and, some effort, and, I might engage some people to help me, but to always be willing to let go of an old form. And I think that's helpful when we get up against our own personal realities in this, because people have a lot of attachment to physical contact, for example. Michael was talking about that a little bit. People, I saw someone on Facebook, I'm going to hug people because I need to hug people. That's how I get my well-being. That's how I get my needs met. And yet the opportunity of understanding that how we think creates our actual needs outside of basic physical needs gives us a chance at freedom, because we can question, do I need to be hugging people to be at peace? Do I need to be hugging people to feel well? Is love confined to a certain form or formulation? Is love confined at all by anything at all? Can we be in isolation, physical isolation, only physical, and find love? And the answer, of course, would be absolutely. But for the restrictions we place on that in our thinking. Any thoughts about that, or any?
Hi. It's good to see you guys. Can you hear me? No? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. I just had a couple of things. One was that I love how both are true, that when I'm around people, physical contact has a physical effect. And I also love, like I mentioned to Amy, like I've been closing my eyes and imagining hugging people because I live alone. I've been alone for weeks now, and I'm very physical, and I really feel it. And it's supported by science. You can play an instrument in your mind and it goes to your, so both can be true, that the power of thought and the power of the creative moment can bring me hugs, and I'm still going to choose to hug. And I realized, as you were saying, like it's the same thing with my phone. First of all, my wisdom had already kicked in. I was out for a walk in the woods and I had thought to bring a sock and hold the phone away from me. So while I was saying I need an answer, it had already come to me. And that touches me a lot, that knowing, that feeling, that knowing what to do can show up in the smallest ways that we don't even notice it. Like I'm exhausted and I just need to not do another Zoom call can show up. So I realized it just settled me, because I think I had, you talk about urgency. This is the last thing I'll say because I don't want to take too much time, but urgency for me lately has been really like beautiful, but it's still been urgency, and I needed to settle. Like I've been having so many beautiful thoughts about the opportunity that's coming now. I've been loving the clear skies, the birds hearing each other and all of that, but it revved up and it's fine. But I think it occurred to me this morning that the quiet, that knowing, like, okay, and I need to turn that off too. Because in those moments, I remember Africa. In those moments, I remember India, and I do. And those are the moments that maybe there will be a stronger, deeper voice for more impact than just me spinning on what I've already created or already thought. So anyway, I've loved listening to you guys, and I'm grateful because I feel like I just settled again after about 24 hours of being a little spun out. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge that, of course, hugging and all these things are so wonderful. And yet here we are, right? So then all we have is, it's like the perfect trap to look at our own thinking and our own thought systems, because now we can't, we can hug inside our homes, I guess, and with designated people, but we can't run out and hug people on West Cliff Drive. So then we want to look at how our thoughts may create suffering for us. And then that's the thing about thought, is that thought is just thought. It's just thought. And it's not mandatory. That's the key, I think, to the principles. So we're getting, anyone else want to share? I asked Chantal if she wanted to share. Anyone else want to? Everyone's getting frozen for me.
Can I just finish one thing that I realized I left incomplete super quick? Phone thing. Like I realized the same thing about that.
Yeah, sure. I didn't understand the phone thing.
Oh, so I had a lot of thinking. I mean, my common sense says, yes, get away from the technology. But I realized as I thought about what you said about the hug, I'd done the same thing with the phone in reverse. Like it makes sense to hold the phone away from my body with a sock right now. It's fine to do that. But all my thinking about the technology was making it worse, if that makes sense. You know, like I can have such a beautiful experience of technology too. So I just sort of saw that layer of thought. And that was, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna let someone else talk.
Anyone else? We probably have a time for one or two last comments. Ms. Batya, are you raising your hand, Batya?
Looks like she's waving goodbye.
Oh, she's saying goodbye. Okay. Ciao. Love you. Anyone else? Chantal?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Evelyn?
Yeah, just in terms of what you said about love and form, but this might take the conversation a bit in a different direction. So just launching that thought of three principles and relationships, in a sense, isn't all our sort of modern, like nowadays current way of having relationships with a partner, also just attachment to form, as we're all are and all connected. So why choose one partner to project all your own stuff on and feel very attached to, as if that person is not just merely the universe in a certain form. So it was just a thought coming up for me. Love is not even linked to a specific person or a specific animal or a specific object in that sense. I think what I'm trying to say is what we call love isn't really love, it's attachment.
That's deep. Okay, anyone else? Chantal, would you like to send us off then?
Well, I can do. It's just been lovely listening to everyone. Lovely to see Linda after so long, and to meet some of you, see some new faces. Michelle, I'm not sure we've met or I've seen you before, so it's nice to see you. Yeah, I just think it's been a lovely conversation, which I've enjoyed, and it's funny, you know, I had some thinking about, another Zoom. I feel like I've been on my screen too much this week. And I have to admit, I had a little thinking about, well, I really want to do this, but I just want to just sit and just breathe and just in the air outside. But then as soon as I was here with you all, that just disappeared, you know. So that was just more of this, right? And then I was just present with you guys, and it's been lovely. So thank you. And yeah, I don't really have anything I want to share. I just wanted to say thank you and just acknowledge everyone's honesty and just for showing up and being in the conversation with us. And yeah, I also love a hug. And it doesn't come naturally to stay, to create this physical distance. Yeah, you know, but I also, you know, it never fails to amaze me. But at the same time, I get it. We're all connected. Ultimately, we're all sourced from the same divine place, space, stuff. So whether we're on our computers or whatever, we're ultimately connected, and I get a sense of that when I'm in these kinds of calls. And the thing that I'm going to take from this call, well, there's lots that I'm going to take from this, but I really love what Linda said at the beginning about, you know, this not being at war with this virus or at war with anything, actually, that it's all sourced from the same place, and we can be with it and then do what makes sense to us. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. And I want to share that the recordings are going up at YouTube, and that you can search up, I didn't have time to find the link, but just go to YouTube and search up Light on the Horizon Fridays for Earth, or Light on the Horizon Fridays. And we've got some backup, so we're going to be putting out some more. And the last Friday of every month, we will continue as far as I know. So there'll be one in April and one in May, and we'll just go on like that. And we'll see, we'll just address whatever's happening in this world at that time. And let's hope it's, you know, a bit better, you know, relatively speaking, than today. So lots of love, everybody. Ciao.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do, 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 do. Sing along. You know the song. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do, 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 do. I hate to leave you, but I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart. Good night. Oh, gotta be silly at the end there. Thank you. Someone, Paul is committed to singing next time. So, oh, come on. You're a musician. I'm just a silly guy.
I thought every Zoom call should have a song, and then you did it. That's fantastic. Or a dance.
Well, we could do that too.
I'll dance with you.
Okay.
Bye, Linda. Everyone.
Be well, folks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I love you.